Good morning. So it's 10 o'clock in the morning and the sun is up. We've had very cloudy days, and I'm going to share with you the view from my veranda and from the front of the house. These are rhododendron bushes. And impatiens this year. So let me take you on a little bit of walk. It's about 74 degrees already. And I left all the screens open in the house last night in the great room. And the humidity is like 70. And let's see what it is today. Oh my God, it's 94 and 74 degrees outside. Oof. Well, we have to remember that we live in a rainforest. And we associate rainforests with tropicals. Well, there is such a thing as a moderate rainforest. And that's what we live in. We get about 54, 56 inches of rain a year. And we got more than that last year because of the Helene. So this is not flashy yet, but this is the Japanese anemones. And I pulled some out to expose the stump steps here up to these beautiful sun impatiens. And they were 4 feet tall. 4 feet tall. And then when the stems come up with the blossoms, the pink blossoms, here in a while, they'll be another couple feet tall. It's really amazing, actually. So the hostas here are their blooms are just about done. So one of the reasons in a shade garden, because we get very little sun, and if we get sun, it's, you know, it's for maybe an hour or maybe 2 or 3 hours. But impatiens have color the whole season. Whereas when you plant certain flowers, you know, they're only good for so long, maybe a couple of months. Well, in our garden, impatiens bloom early and they last the whole season. Excuse me. So these are sun impatiens, coffee cups, obviously. And here's a, it's called Kong Imperial. And it gets 12, 14 inches tall and these huge leaves that are 3, 4 inches in diameter. Just spectacular. Oh, this is thrown up seed things already. One of the things that has become very apparent to me this last couple, 3 years is how strong the desire to make babies. It's in nature, it's one of the most elemental things to propagate the species. Very, very strong. And my impatiens will throw up blossoms, you know, to make seeds. Within, you know, an inch, they might have two sets of leaves on them. Okay. So this part of the garden does not get very much sun right in through here. Get some in the afternoon, getting a little bit right now. And nothing has sprouted, no impatient seeds from last year. So I went ahead and bought a flat. I think I used 4 flats of impatiens in this whole garden. I think the first one I paid the $26 for, and then they went on sale because they were getting tall and leggy. Getting close to the end of people planting them. And they went on sale for 30% off for $17. Okay, the thing I want you to note here is how much growth comes from the base of the plant. See how it's bushed out with new growth? Can you see that? So it doesn't matter that they were leggy because they're going to put out new growth from the base of the plant. Isn't that amazing? And it's been in a couple of weeks, I suppose. And they're starting to create new buds. We'll walk up through that part of the garden in just a minute. I want to show you. This was supposed to be my heuchera garden. I think 3 years ago I did coleus in here because they do very, very well nowadays in shade and sun. And I did huge swaths of, you know, each kind of azalea, I mean of coleus, and it was mid-thigh. And when I pulled them out at the end of the season, the root ball was the same 2 inches that I had planted. Isn't that incredible? Maybe that's why people break up roots, you know, to force them to spread out a little bit, maybe. Okay, so this is another coleus that is spectacular. It's already about 2.5 feet tall. Blue pot, because it's hard to get blue into the garden. Now these should fill in solid. And I've shared with you before that I lost about 1/3 of them. We took too many leaves off the soil. So I'm a big person about reallocating assets. I learned that from Garden Answer. No problem. If you don't like a plant, close it. And if you don't like where it is, move it. So I reallocated and moved and bought, I think, 12 or 14 new. It's the only reason I got any big plants here. And I put in a flat of multicolored coleus. And they'll get 2.5 feet tall at least. And this plant will get 2.5, 3 feet tall. Another one of those Kong Imperial. And you see what I've done here? I've sunk pots into the soil, and then I can just set a pot down inside. And we did that with this plant right here to winter it over. And now that's been brought out, it's starting to take off again. Okay, let's see what we got here. Oh, this is the circle garden. That needs to be readdressed. Oh, you see over there under those trees? Those beautiful green and white hostas? All those have been reallocated assets. They get crowded in other places in the garden. I pulled them all out and planted them, and they multiply. Within a year or two, they're already two or three stems denser, and they come up by themselves. Doesn't require any upkeep at all. Okay, so we have lots of, and you see here we have lots of babies coming up. These reseeded themselves. The thing to understand is this is what, the 9th of July, I think, something like that. And normally we get heat starting, sometime late April, early May. And these would have come up, but you see we've had an incredibly cool, pretty much less than 70 degrees and very overcast with hardly any sun at all. And so, you know, many seeds require heat, not just sun, but they need heat. They need heat from the sun to germinate. Well, you know, this is probably the 3rd week of June before we got any heat at all. And this last week we had several days that were 90 finally, 90, low 90s. And here's a money plant. It's already done its thing. They look like Chinese, old, ancient Chinese coins, don't they? They come back in white and lavender. I won't take you through the moss garden. That'll be another day. I don't have much deer pressure, although they cross the property every day. And we have turkeys that are really going around a lot. Now there's 5 of these hosta plants right here. I came out 3 or 4 days ago, and they've been pulled out, root and all. And I dug fresh holes and put them in, and I'm watering them every day, and it looks like they're going to do all right. I don't know about this one because you see we had the creatures that pulled them out ate some of the leaves. This leaf looks pretty puny, so I don't know that it's going to survive unless it puts on a fresh leaf. But you know, hostas are very resilient. One of the things we like about them. This is our water feature. This year I planted the impatiens all the way around. They're not that orange the rest of the garden is. They're close, but they're not exactly the same. Anyway, so this is the garden. And remember, the thing about a shade garden is that the plants and flowers and bushes that you plant are important. But the sun moves across the garden and creates patterns that are just as much a part of your garden as anything. So you can see that the sun's coming up in the east, and it has come across the top of the mountain, and it's crested, and it's coming through the trees. It used to be, when I first moved here about 8 years ago, that we'd have sun in this part of the garden from 10 until 2, good solid 4 hours. Well, now it's only a couple hours. So the sun will move across the garden, and it will begin to expose this part right here, this huge swath. It will, they'll get sun for a couple hours, and the grass will get sun, and it'll move across the top of the house. And then in the late afternoon, when the sun's coming from the west over the top of the house, it will cast shade and sun up to about here. So it's even, you know, less sun in the day. So that's really lovely. So you know how hard it is to get blue in your garden. We have every shade of green you can imagine. So if you want anything to show up, you know, you have to plant some color. And coleus and begonias and impatiens do very well in part shade, part sun. This sedum has been moved at least once. This was a gift. It seems to be doing all right. Comes back every year on its own. We want things that come back every year on its own, right? Because I want my garden to look beautiful from the from the veranda. Because the day may come, you know, when I'm really not have the energy or the focus or, you know, the desire to spend that much time working in the garden, and I'd like it to come back on its own. There's an ostrich fern in here. So I always bring your attention to having some stones that come up out of the center of the pond. And that's because creatures fall in. See, the stones extend over the lip, and it's just very, very hard. In Washington, D.C., we had a water feature much the same, and we'd find 3 birds in it every year because they'd come in to drink and then they'd fall in and they couldn't get out. So this is, you can't see it in the shade here very much, but this has become disassembled. It's fallen apart. It's dry stacked in there. So obviously I have some creatures that are coming to this pond to drink, and I know the bears come down and come through. And when I had this chair blocking the walkway, it threw it away. And I did have koi in my water feature, and they'd gotten 8-10 inches, long. And I came out one day, and about 15 feet away from the water feature, I found it dead. And whatever had eaten it had eaten all the organ meat. They'd left its tail and its head. So I'm not keeping fish anymore. I'm not going to feed the creatures an exotic fish, if you know what I mean. So we tend to be anywhere from 10 to 15 degrees cooler than in the valley, where it's full sun. And I don't do well in the sun or in heat. I always worked in air conditioning, and I always, I'd get heat stroke if I was out for 30 minutes in 90-degree weather. That happened twice to me. And I'm seriously light-skinned, and I get sunburned and overheated. Anyway, our garden is absolutely beautiful this morning. The impatiens are filling out, and I'm thrilled, absolutely thrilled. Thank you for joining me for this morning's tour of the garden. Have a great day.